If we're all just being super honest here, I'd just as soon not kiss a Wookiee. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Today we're going to talk about what is required for Galactic Legend Leia. It's always predictions and we're always super wrong because CG wants to make money. We don't know how they make money, even though we all think we do. We do a terrible job as a community predicting how they make money. So we still participate in this sham, and I think I have some interesting thoughts, though, obviously, because they're my thoughts, and my thoughts are always interesting to me. So, let's, just real quick, say thank you to my patrons. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support. I truly couldn't do this without you guys. I just really appreciate you guys. Thank you. And guys, if you want to see more of this kind of content, if you want to help me mount the algorithm, please like, subscribe, comment, do something with yourselves, guys. Get off your hindquarters. No, I do appreciate everyone though for helping. It does help a lot. Now, let's get to it, guys. So imagine the event. It's Galactic Legend Leia. First off, we know it's Endor Leia. I know that I said it for sure in air quotes there. Some people might take it as like, who knows? So this is data mined, this picture. Maybe it's just some doodle that someone on CG has. Like, it's not official that she's Endor Leia, but I mean, they said that it's, you know, they referenced the 40th year anniversary. I think if we don't get Endor Leia, we're gonna be, I think we should all be collectively shocked. So the question is, what makes her legendary? And if you think about the event that they're going to have for her, I think that you can kind of fill in the pieces here. So what we're doing is the original trilogy is what makes her legendary, right? Like, it's Endor Leia. Like, she's done all these legendary things. She's lived a full life for a 20-something-year-old. And, I mean, I don't mean that mockingly, maybe a little bit. But, so, here's the thing. Okay, I get better stand-ins later for my art. My initial ones were just not that imaginative. But, okay, so here's the original requirements. We're using Malicos as the stand-in for Princess Nisa, the Ewok princess. But if you sort it out, if we look at it from the lens of the original trilogy, guys, so we have Lando from Empire Strikes Back, and then the rest of them are from Return of the Jedi, and then if you kind of expand it, like they mentioned, I think that's how you spell it, Drogon. He's the guy that we don't know anything about. That it's the character that they've made up for this event, that he's going to be a vital part of her squad. I mean, I get the sense that they just want to tell their own story on this. It's like, hey, we have Captain Rex, which we haven't really seen too much of in the movies. Obviously, we've seen Akbar and Wicket, but they might not even make it into the game. We might just see Nisa and Drogon and everyone just doing their thing. But what if you take it to the next step? Okay, so it's like, all right, we have the requirements for Return of the Jedi, and every requirement totals 15 characters. Well, it's 14 characters in one ship. So let's kind of reverse engineer it, guys. So we have Lando. Besides Lando, yeah. So let's go with Empire Strikes Back, because he's Lando, you know. And think of the time that Leia, like, she's cool on Hoth and everything. She's commanding, she does all this stuff. But if you look at the time on Cloud City where she just takes charge, Leia's like, you know what? This is going to total hell. I'm gonna be in charge now. I'm sick of this crap. I'm gonna make sure that we survive and we do well. So the first part of that is Lobot taking off her restraints, Lando, you know, kind of rescuing her a little bit, which, I mean, I guess that's not really her, like, taking control until the fact that, she's having Chupio choke Lando, which is very violent. It's horrifying, and if we watch Star Wars, we just think it's probably the least of any of the crimes. I mean, we're not feeding, like, helpless women to monsters for the enjoyment of people watching. So, this is pretty tame. But, I mean, I think Lobot actually fits really well into this. Chupio also, I mean, he's already been used as a requirement, so is Lando. Lobot hasn't been used as a requirement at all. As you can see, this is from my main account. He's only gear 12. If he was used as a requirement, he'd be relic. So, I think Lobot fits really well into it, just as, like, a throw-in random character. It's like, hey, he's part of the same faction. Makes a lot of sense. Chupio, similarly, I mean, he's part of that story, and then we don't have to worry about annoying C-3PO, and 3PO is already required for a couple things anyways. We need him for, what, for Jabba and for someone else. So we already needed him at Relic 7. Probably don't need him required again. Chupio, on the other hand, they could require him at 7 or 8, and people would be like, oh yeah, okay, I already have him, that's fine. But they can squeeze a few relics out while forcing us to also put relics on Lobot. On their way out of Cloud City, of course, we have stormtroopers chasing them. So let's get out of there. It's epic. They fight. R2-D2's there. You don't really need him to be a requirement, though. I mean, you'll see in a little bit. Maybe he makes an appearance. But Stormtroopers, we always have, if you look at the Galactic Legend requirements, there's always the bad guy involved in it. Like, there's always, like, the fight, like, Supreme Leader Kylo has Veteran Han in it, for instance. You know, they all have some kind of enemy. Maybe not Jedi, maybe not Rey, actually. Does she? I don't remember. I don't care. But one way or another, like, most of them have their enemy in there, and I think Stormtroopers they're pretty prevalent in this. You know, she takes command, and who's her enemy? They're not going to take Boba Fett, who's already been required at Relic 8 for something else, for Executor. So, other than that, I guess Vader, but he's already been required for stuff. Stormtrooper, though, I don't think he's been required for stuff, so let's have him be, like, he's the bad guy everywhere. He's the bad guy on Endor, he's the bad guy on Empire Strikes Back, he's the bad guy in A New Hope. We may as well just have him be required. She seems to be like, who wore it better? Like, Princess Leia wearing white, or Stormtroopers wearing it white? You guys can tell me. I know the answer, but you can feel free to let me know. And then on their way out, guys, we have the required ship. Everyone's like, they probably won't require a ship this time. And it's like, well, I mean, they've required a ship every other time. I don't see why they wouldn't require a ship. Han's Millennium Falcon seems to enter into her adventures quite a bit, to be honest. The other option might be, and I'm just throwing this out there, we might get something like Shuttle Tidarium instead as part of the Endor mission, which would be awesome, though I think that that's probably stretching things a little bit, just in terms of how many things are required and how many new characters they're going to introduce. They could also do something crazy like Red 5, though it seems like they could tell a better story elsewhere than in Leia's story for that. I mean, she had hardly anything to do with Shuttle Tidarium or Red 5, to be honest. I think the Falcon, though, she actually flies the Falcon. Okay, so here's the better stand-ins, guys. We have Nisa's face, and then Drogon, we just have his name circled. It's, I mean, it's better than Malak, so, anyways, those are the requirements for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Then you have to think, what about New Hope? So, you can start with the thing. Leia and R2-D2 have to fight some stormtroopers or something. That could be the opening thing where Leia, like Princess Leia and R2-D2, like a lot of these characters have one of their old versions in there, and I think Princess Leia, like she's not required for anything other than like the CLS mission, which is like she needs gear 8 or 9 or something. So may as well require her. And then R2-D2, yes, he's required for other things, but I mean he's pretty important to her journey as a legendary character. Like it's like, well, what's she gonna do? Is she gonna just let the Empire have the plans? No, she's gonna send the plans down to the planet in a desperate attempt to not have everything go to total hell. And you know, it's legendary in its own right, because she's like, you know what, yeah, you like, we've basically lost, but I'm gonna just kick and scream the whole time. Like, you're not gonna have an easy time of it. Like, go screw yourselves, Empire. And that's what she's doing. I mean, can't let them have the plans. And then when they go to rescue her, she's like, instead of just like, oh no, they're gonna stick me with needles some more, she's like, aren't you short for a stormtrooper? Like, aren't you just kind of a runty little stupid head? And, you know, Luke's like, oh, you're hot, dude. And it's kind of gross in retrospect, I guess, though, I mean, George Lucas didn't even know. We talk about going into the sequel trilogy with no plan. I mean, George Lucas had no idea that they were related in A New Hope. He had no idea that they were related in An Empire Strikes Back. So, you know, it's more cohesive. I don't mean to rag on George or the sequel or the original trilogy. I do think it's funny. It's a little bit silly. So I think Farm Boy Luke, why not? He's not required for anything so far, and maybe eventually we'll need him for Red 5, who knows, but so far we haven't needed him for anything, and I think that this is the great opportunity to require him for something, frankly. Similarly, Stormtrooper Han is part of that escape, and you know, this is the best, one of the best lines. It's one of the best, that's what she says, in the whole trilogy, though, guys, in the whole series, really. You guys can read it for yourselves. So, you know, she's like, hey, you guys rescued me, but you know what? You guys are doing a worse job than I would have done. I'm gonna take charge now. I'm gonna do this. This is what makes me legendary. And she takes charge. She tells them what's going to happen. I think that makes her legendary, or it's part of her legend, I should say. So the last one, guys, and this one is admittedly very speculative. Probably, who knows, man. I just feel like it's gonna be true. Maybe it's not. I feel like so far it's like, well, I probably guessed a lot of them. Maybe not. Like, I think that they're all kind of reasonable guesses, but here's the final one, guys. You can let me know what your thoughts are. I think it's gonna be Aphra, which seems like totally unrelated, doesn't it? Like, it just seems real dumb. But here's the thing, guys. Every Galactic Legend has a character that is just pretty unrelated to what they are, or they're just added to make it more difficult. It's like Rey has Holdo and Rose. Like, even though they're both part of the Resistance, Rey like had no dealings with them at all. Like, you never see her hanging out with Holdo or Rose, and they were new back then. They were new characters that we had to farm real quick to be part of the requirements. Supreme Leader Kylo, it's like, what did he have to do with Emperor Palpatine, really? I mean, I guess he had something to do with like Sith Eternal Emperor, but for the most part, I mean, he was He just was. Let's see, when he was released, did they even have Sith Eternal Emperor back then? I don't think so. I don't think we had Episode 9 out yet. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Who knows? But, I mean, Palpatine at Relic 7 is expensive. Like, Sith Eternal Emperor, he never met Sith Marauder. They're like Sith. Like, let's just link them because they're Sith. Relic 7. Let's put Relic 7 on this random dude. Okay, fine. Jedi Master Luke, Mon Mothma. Sure, he probably met Mon Mothma when he was younger, but she has nothing to do with his current state. Like old rump-faced Luke, not at all. Chupio, he never met Chupio at all. Like, he was in the same like kind of complex for a couple minutes maybe while Chupio escaped out the back, but he was never part of it. Jedi Master Kenobi, who knows that, like, he spied on Wat Tambor once. That was just a really tough requirement. They're like, hey, they were both in the Clone Wars, sure, let's do that. Lord Vader as the Bad Batch, like, hey, they're clones, they were in the same war. Good for them. That's tenuous as well. Jabba has the Outrider, which, I mean, is kind of related if you really dig into the EU, but I mean, you know, a Jedi Knight Luke is just a rough requirement. Anyways, like, there's a lot of really rough requirements. Aphra could easily be one because, I mean, right now a lot of people are just trying to not farm her. And I don't blame people. Like, she's good at PvP, and that's it. Full stop. She's good at a little bit in territory battles, but whatever. Just not. Don't worry about her, right? But she's actually in the comic books with Leia. She and Leia have adventures. Leia knocks her out pretty cold. So, I mean, at what point, like, it's like, well, CG just does this anyways, right? They just like to make things hard. Like, why don't they just add someone that's newer, that doesn't have a requirement, that makes life harder for us? I don't want it to be Aphra, not for, I mean, my alternate account doesn't have Aphra. My main account wouldn't care that much, but my alternate account would care. And so I just wouldn't be surprised if it is Aphra. Yeah, on the other hand, it really just might be Chewie. Who knows? I mean, he seems to fit into A New Hope pretty dang well. So here are the final picks here, folks. Let me know what your thoughts are. Would you pick someone else? Do you think that it's totally ludicrous of me to choose Aphra? I don't really care because I don't really respect these the predictions. I can't even think of the name. I don't care about them so much. I just, you know, it's fun to predict. It really is. And I think it's like, well, I think in terms of like a coherent event that they're having, I think it makes a lot of sense what I'm saying, but who really knows? Who knows? No one can know. CG knows, and they're going to make some money off of it one way or another. If they do choose Aphra, you have to think they'll probably make money. Then again, as a community, we're terrible at knowing what makes the money, so maybe they won't. So, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zareth prevails.